Right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. It's 2:01 p.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. To my right is Vice Chair Commissioner Wayne Fournier, Commissioner Carolina Mejia. To my left, Commissioner Gary Edwards and Commissioner Emily Klaus. We have Acting County Manager Robin Campbell and Assistant County Manager Rob Gelder. County Manager Leonard Hernandez is excused today. So we're kicking things off with Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Mejia.
Thank you. Phil, please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Continue with the land acknowledgement, Vice Chair.
We would also like to start today with a land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial, and who still inhabit the area today. Specifically, the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone toward healing.
All right. Thank you. Next up is consideration regarding the proposed agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Motion and second to approve the proposed agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is presentation. We have a proclamation for Public Service Recognition Week, and I know we've got a lot of folks here to recognize that. And we have Human Resource Director Maria Ponte.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and all of our employees that are present today. I'm Maria Ponte, HR Director, and today I'm asking you to proclaim May 5th through May 11th as Public Service Recognition Week, and that's to honor our employees. We are fortunate to have staff who have dedicated their careers to serving the public. Every day, our county employees go above and beyond in the services that they deliver. This year, we are proud to recognize 144 employees reaching significant milestones. Of these 144, 50 employees have been with the county over 20 years, and 2 are celebrating their 40th and 45th years respectively. So quite an impressive service to the county. A highlight of this week's events, and not just this week because we celebrate throughout the year, include Spirit Week, and we have daily themed events. We're bringing back the ice cream truck, and we deliver to 5 county locations. That'll be July 17th and 18th. And we are sponsoring Thurston County Employee Nights with the Tacoma Rainiers. And in July, we provide 2 free tickets for our employees to attend the Thurston County Fair. This proclamation, which you will read in a few minutes, recognizes the incredible contributions our employees make in supporting the residents of Thurston County. I know you will agree that we have an outstanding workforce that we can all be proud of. And with that, I can answer any questions, or you can read your proclamation.
Can you tell us what today's themed Spirit Week event is?
Today's theme is twins. And I understand you might have a couple of twins on the podium, but
We
they
want
need
to twin
to put
with
their
me.
hats on.
And that Rainiers Night, when is that?
So what we do is we get sponsored at the games, and they put up Thurston County employees thanking us, and they sell the tickets at a discounted price for our employees.
I want to mark my calendar.
You know, it's in August. I don't have the specific dates, but we will be sending additional information out on that event.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions for Maria? Public Works Director, did you want to, were you lined up too, or just, okay,
She
all
wants
good.
me to take all the credit.
All right. I just appreciate you, Maria. Okay, we ready for our proclamation?
Sir. This is a proclamation of Thurston County. for Public Service Recognition Week. Whereas Public Service Recognition Week is a time to honor the contributions of public employees at every level of government. Residents benefit each day from the public employees who strive to meet the challenging needs of a diverse population in a rapidly changing environment. And whereas Thurston County employees represent numerous occupations and trades and exhibit professional excellence, skills, creativity, and customer service to the highest standard. And whereas Thurston County's external and internal services are provided by the dedicated employees of the Thurston County Assessor's Office, Auditor's Office, Central Services, Clerk's Office, Commissioner's Office, Community Planning and Economic Development, Coroner's Office, District Court, Emergency Services, Human Resources, Information Technology, Prosecuting Attorney's Office, Public Defense, Public Health, and Social Services, Sheriff's Office, Superior and Family Court, and the Treasurer's Office. And whereas in 2024, the Board of County Commissioners also recognizes Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, January 9th, Public Health Week, April 1st through 7th, Firefighters Day, May 4th, Correctional Officers Week, May 5th through 11th, Emergency Medical Services Week, May 19th through 25th, Public Works Week, May 19th through 25th, and Pretrial Probation and Parole Supervision Week, July 21st through 28th. And whereas Thurston County is home to many public servants, including teachers, doctors, volunteers, military personnel, law enforcement officers, firefighters, social workers, and countless other occupations. And whereas day in and day out, public employees provide the diverse services required to protect, support, and assist the residents of the county in order to provide a vibrant community. And whereas without these public servants at every level, continuity would be impossible in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Now therefore be it resolved, the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners hereby proclaims May 5th through May 11th as Public Service Recognition Week in Thurston County, and encourages all citizens to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels, adopted the 7th day of May 2024 by the Board of County Commissioners.
Get a camera big enough to get all of our team. All right, let's do it.
That means you guys.
I'm tall. I'll stay in the back.
Right? Don't you like squeeze? So some in the front and then some.
I know,
You squeeze right in there. There you go.
gonna have to do more than one.
Oh, we have to scoot?
Are we scooting? What are we doing?
See over me?
Oh, geez, I don't want to.
I'm gonna block some of those.
Wait.
Where's your hat?
Safety issue, safety issue.
You gotta have your hat on.
Tim,
Grab the hat.
will you
Grab the hat.
Sorry, yep. She's not twinning at the moment.
I'm not twinning.
I block Carolina.
You're gonna piece it together.
All right, everybody turn this way.
Gentlemen.
All right.
And the message.
Okay, let's pick up with next item, which is opportunity for the public to address the board. The Board of County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public at all meetings. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. General speaking guidelines include introduce yourself, including the address you reside in the county, address the board, not audience or staff, silence your cell phones. The board does not respond to public comment. On an as-needed basis, the county manager may follow up with specific items. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board and may not donate any speaking time to another speaker. The board reserves the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for good cause. No comments that are lewd, offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind. Comments that are commercial in nature, such as a promotion of a for-profit business, or remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal, are not permitted. Finally, all materials provided to the county may be considered public records and subject to public release upon request pursuant to Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 RCW. Thank you for your cooperation. First up is Leslie Cushman with John Pettit on deck.
Hi, Leslie Cushman. Let's see, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So my address is 5320 Cushman Road Northeast. I live in the north end of the county. I think that's one of the requirements I heard from you. Trying to follow your public speaking rules here. So I have some comments today about the flock surveillance system. I know it's come in front of you when the sheriff has spoken to you, and I know you have a lot of authority over budgets, maybe grants and other sort of planning that comes in front of you. And I would ask that any requests you receive for approval of grants or budgets or any planning for surveillance equipment need to be more heavily scrutinized and questioned by you. There are some really solid processes you can put in place to vet the systems in the public eye. I understand and I realize that the sheriff is an independent elected official, and I'm not expecting you to act in his place. I'm just talking to you as the Board of Commissioners. I know you have authority and responsibilities in this area, and I'm also speaking to the sheriff, who I have a great deal of respect for and understand he's working hard. So this is, I'm not making complaints here. I'm having some really constructive comments for you about surveillance systems. I know the sheriff has some plans to use an assortment of equipment and technology to address alleged criminal behavior. And none of us like crime, and I think it's appropriate. Of course, that's what his job is. And I want to talk to you about the flock technology. You may have heard the term. And it's actually a mass surveillance system. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but flock technology is a mass surveillance system. And it's going to be used as an automatic license plate reader. And this is super reasonable, very practical, but really flock is an expansive network of cameras, both public, private, business, and individual. It can be used to track people, and it actually can be used to invade our civil liberties. I would offer that this commission has the responsibility to take some actions about the use of this technology and other technology that the sheriff and others might be considering. When you meet with the sheriff, please ask him about the plan to store data, for example. I want to suggest that the data should not be stored at all. It isn't necessary to store it to meet the objectives for its use. It just takes a few minutes to run a license plate through databases, and if there is not a hit, there's no reason to keep the image. Remember, this is a free country, and you need to think about what that actually means and what your role is in defending this as a free country. We are ostensibly free people. What does that mean in reality if we are putting surveillance practices in place? Going forward, I recommend creating a surveillance impact report followed by a public engagement process. I will send you all an email with details about what the surveillance impact report would involve. Lastly, I want to make a comment about the new law on vehicular pursuits, which will take effect the first week of June. As you meet with the sheriff, please encourage him to engage in a public process as he adopts the policy that's going to be followed in this county. I expect this new policy to allow pursuits for stolen vehicles and probably retail theft. It needs some bright lines. In addition to bright lines around what type of crimes justify a pursuit, it would be great to put in place a policy that pursuits not be authorized for expired tabs, for broken taillights, and other minor equipment failures. These are often associated with profiling of communities of color and profiling of low-income people. Thank you.
Yeah. Could I ask you a follow-up question? I'm curious, is it your position that if the safeguards that you kind of outlined were in place, the costs of this system would outweigh the benefits would outweigh the costs, or would you prefer that this system not be used, period?
The flock system?
Yes, flock system.
I think there's some boundaries and bright lines and you can put in place that can justify its use.
Thank you.
Yep.
John Pettit is next, and Kathy Kravitz-Smith is on deck.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live on Ridge Road. I'm going to be talking some about REIT 1, and REIT 1 particularly because on June 1st, you have scheduled a payment for bond out of REIT 1, or a couple of bonds perhaps, for about $1.5 million. Now, of course, you're also going to be having a exit interview from the state auditor, which may be revealing to you the inappropriate nature of using REIT for such a purpose as paying bonds. So I'm going to give you just a couple things. You've been dropped off some information. One is that REIT 1 is to be used, must be used solely for financing capital projects specified in a capital facility plan. Well, we have a capital facility plan. We have the exact projects that are listed here. There is no project called pay the bond. So therefore, it is not something that's listed as a project specified in the plan. Now, there is some argument, well, that was in the plan before. You know, that was in the plan, these projects at some time. Well, I'm going to point out a little thing that when you guys, and all 5 of you actually signed on to this, we had a new amended capital facility plan, resolution 16339, very first sentence of it, repealing and replacing Appendix G. Once you appeal a resolution or ordinance, is it valid anymore? No, it's gone. If you've appealed a project, a list of projects, they're no longer there, you don't have the right to be spending money on projects that aren't there. The concept that you, it's been a deliberate process of mixing the funds up and everything in order to make it confusing. And for the commissioners, you're dependent upon staff to give you good information, and you've gotten some really atrocious information. Now, there's also a sheet that I dropped off here which shows that during year 20, 21, and 22, a list of different things that I found to not be acceptable for expenditures of REIT. During those 3 years combined, it was over $21 million. I expect you're going to find this is going to come out during the state audit, and your responsibility is to get rid of people that are giving you bad direction. You need to, because I don't think that it's appropriate. Now, here comes the next ugly part of it. If it's not a legal expense to be spending this $1.5 million in June, you've all signed your name on this particular document over here. Are you each going to fork up maybe $300,000 out of your pocket personally to make up for an inappropriate or wrongful expenditure? You know about it. You know that it's only to be used for projects. You know that it's not on the capital facility plan. How are you going to take care of that $1.5 million? Then later on, it's going to be another $1.5 million later this year. But then there's one more thing. Currently, I don't think you even have enough money in REIT to make the payment. So what are we going to do? We're going to go back in the negative checking account process again? You need to give some thought, take some action, correct the personnel that's guided you poorly. Thank you.
Kathy Kravitz-Smith.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Kathy Kravitz-Smith. I'm a Thurston County resident and voter. My address is 5734 Cedar Flats Road, Olympia, Washington. Today, I'd just like to bring to your attention a public records request that I submitted on March 15th. The Thurston County Prosecutor's Office was quick to respond and establish a response date for me of May 3rd as the date that I would be able to review the documents that I requested. On May 3rd, the prosecutor's office wrote and said that Thurston County had not located any records that would be responsive to my request. They then established a new response date of May 24th, and I really appreciate how quickly and how attentive they were to communicating with me. The request for records related to the county's plans for a new law enforcement facility, which I understood was in the planning phase. While I appreciated the responsiveness, I was kind of shocked that absolutely no records were located, as I was under the impression that the county was considering building a new law enforcement facility. In my mind, such an endeavor would require a fairly large number of records from the initial concept to the actual construction, including communication with the county commissioners. So perhaps I'm confused about the information I received. So if you would let me know if I have erroneous information, I'd really appreciate that. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your service, and thanks to the employees of Thurston County during this week and every week. So thank you.
I can follow up with you on that. You're going to follow up. That's who is signed up. Anyone else in the boardroom that didn't get a chance to sign up? And on Zoom, is there anyone that would like to give public testimony?
It's all staff.
Staff, okay. And that concludes public testimony for this meeting.
Chairman, sir, is the information for Kathy on the sign-up sheet, an email listed, where we can get back to her?
I will,
Amy's gonna get her
Okay.
name and.
I only have address, so if we could get a phone number or email, would be
Yeah.
great.
We'll follow up on
Could I
that.
comment on something,
Because
sir?
that
Yes, sir.
doesn't sound right.
Today, we did a proclamation for so many of the employees of the county. And you know what? We tried to cover them all, but we didn't get them all. And that's one of the problems of trying to do everything. You never get it all done. But I think it's really important to realize that simple things that we take for granted, whether that's driving to work, not hitting a pothole, or flushing the toilet, or getting a drink of water, turning on the lights, whatever it might be, we start taking things for granted. And I see one thing we missed was yesterday was National Nurses Day, May 6th. And the entire week of May 6th to 12th is National Nurses Week. And I'm particularly sensitive to nurses now because I'm getting up there where I might need one, kind of like I like a road without any potholes. So I think anytime we try to do it all, sometimes we miss it. Just one thing I picked up. I'm sure there are others, but I would like to give a shout out to our nurses that do a lot in our community. So thank you, sir.
You're welcome, thank you. Okay, county manager update, anything?
None at this time.
Okay, then we have a consent item for 3A through 3K. Any request to pull an item from that agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded to approve consent items 3A through 3K. Non-debatable motion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Brings us to item 4A, setting a public hearing for animal control-related fees and charges. Acting County Manager Campbell.
Yes, thank you. Nicole Martinez, our budget and fiscal manager, is excused this afternoon. She's working on our, a critical path on implementing our new budget system. So I will be speaking to the public hearing for animal control-related fees and charges. Since 1996, the county has partnered with cities in a regional partnership to address animal control in Thurston County. Commissioners currently set cat and dog license and other fees in the county code. The intent is for all of the fees in all of the partner jurisdictions to be the same, but over time, the county's fees have fallen behind. And it's difficult for us to amend them because they are in the county code. To facilitate keeping the fees in alignment, staff are proposing that we take the fees out of county code and instead enable the board to set the fees by a resolution. If you took this action, then we would have a public hearing, well, before you took the action, we'd have a public hearing, we are requesting that you set for June 4th at 3:30, right here in this room. And that at that public hearing, you accept public comment on the change to the ordinance that, again, the only change in our animal control ordinance would be to, instead of having the fees in county code, to set them by resolution. Should you take the action, you would also take action on a resolution that would set the new fees, and the new fees would be the same as the fees in Olympia, Tumwater, Lacey, and Yelm. Those are our partner jurisdictions, and they would take effect on January 1st of 2025. Again, this motion before you today is simply to set the public hearing on June 4th, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Nope. Is there a motion?
I move to set a public hearing for June 4th, 2024 at 3:30 PM, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard, in room 110 of the atrium, 3000 Pacific Ave Southeast, to accept and consider public comment related to the proposed ordinance amending Thurston County Code Section 9.10, animal control, to authorize animal control-related fees and charges to be set by resolution of the Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to set this public hearing for June 4th at 3:30. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next up is Community Planning and Economic Development, item 5A, I stumbled over that word this morning, sub-consultant contract with Washington Water Trust. Brian Benjamin, Associate Planner, to brief the board. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, I am Brian Benjamin, Associate Planner with the Department of Community Planning and Economic Development. This item is a request to accept a contract for services with Washington Water Trust to complete field work, modeling, and other technical work in support of a streamflow restoration grant awarded by the Department of Ecology to Washington Water Trust. The contract establishes the procedures and responsibilities of both the Thurston County Community Planning staff and Washington Water Trust for the reimbursement of Thurston County staff labor and other expenses up to $70,000. The contract would establish a project-level partnership between the county and Washington Water Trust, described in the Chehalis Basin Watershed Management Plan and supported by the Chehalis Basin Partnership. The project is a feasibility study to review historic streamflow impacts generated by an aquaculture facility adjacent to Scatter Creek. Based on study findings, a portion of the facility's water rights may be eligible for purchase under future streamflow restoration funding to benefit in-stream flows in Scatter Creek. Staff is requesting that the Commissioners approve the contract and authorize the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development to execute the contract. That's all. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Brian? Nope. Is there a motion?
I move to authorize a sub-consultant contract with Washington Water Trust for reimbursement of costs related to work performed and to assist the Washington Water Trust in conducting field work and data analysis on a Department of Ecology Streamflow Restoration Act grant, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to execute the contract. Sorry.
A motion and a second to approve the sub-consultant contract. Is there discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brian. Item 6 is a Public Health and Social Services item, contract with Community Youth Services with Homeless Services Emergency Funds. Keely Marino from Public Health and Social Services, Homeless Response Program Manager, to brief the board. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Keely Marino with Public Health and Social Services. I'm here today to seek approval of a contract to be executed with Community Youth Services with the Homeless Services Emergency Funds to repair two crucial showers that serve the youth and young adult homeless population. So Rosie's Place Engagement Center is a program of Community Youth Services, and that program provides daytime drop-in services and case management. They offer things such as clothing, meals, hygiene, et cetera, and for young people between the ages of 12 and 24 who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness. At night, that program turns into a shelter an emergency shelter for young people between the ages of 18 and 24. And they also operate a street outreach program. Since 2014, they've been in a building off of Pear, that provides all of those services, as well as showers being a really crucial element of services for young people regarding their hygiene. It's a key part of health and well-being for young people experiencing homelessness. It relates to hygiene. It's a safe bathroom and a shower space for young people, dedicated to people of that age and their overall wellness. There has been routine quarterly maintenance done on those showers since 2014, but it's just met the level of needing to be repaired that they cannot operate those showers. They've discovered that it is leaking into the floor of the second floor where Rosie's Place is, into the first floor, impacting that space down there. That's largely, I believe, offices for staff. And so they need to basically remodel the bathrooms entirely. They approached the Homeless Services Advisory Board through their Homeless Services Emergency Fund process to see if it might qualify to receive those emergency funds in order to make those repairs. They sent in the request to the Homeless Services Advisory Board to the tune of $23,100. That's $11,000 per shower, plus a 5% contingency in case that there's unforeseen costs. The Homeless Services Advisory Board did approve to recommend them receive those funds. That recommendation went to the Regional Housing Council, and the Regional Housing Council also approved recommendation for Community Youth Services to receive these funds to fix their showers. So coming to you to answer any questions on that and hoping that we can get these showers fixed.
Questions from the board?
I move to approve a contract with Community Youth Services in the amount of $23,100 to repair two showers located at Rosie's Place Engagement Center program for youth and young adults experiencing homelessness, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to execute the contract and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the contract with Community Youth Services. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioner, if I may, pardon my interruption, but if we could go back for a moment to item 5A. There is a Scribner error in the action where it delegates authority to the Director of Public Health and Social Services to execute the contract when it should be the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development. I think because this is a Scribner error that we can go ahead and just adjust that without a vote of the board, but I wanted you to be aware that we would make the change.
And that's for the current motion?
No,
That
the last
that
item.
was a motion that the board
CPED
has
item.
already taken action on, 5A.
Subconsultant contract. So the authority is granted to the Director of CPED, not Public Health.
Right, and we will just go ahead and fix that for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go on to Public Works 7A. Award of master contracts for furnishing a supply of various.
Yes, we did. Go ahead. Yeah, we did.
Asphalt materials. Mike Lohman, Road Operations Manager. Brief the board.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thurston County Public Works Road Operations Division requires different asphalt materials to perform road maintenance activities on an annual basis. The actual amount of material fluctuates during the year Therefore, the quantities and overall cost of the year are unknown. The purpose for awarding master contracts is to secure the best unit cost for each material at time of purchase. On April 11th, 2024, 3 bids were received for furnishing a supply of various kinds of asphalt materials for road maintenance in response to the call for sealed bids advertised in the Olympian and Daily Journal of Commerce on March 21st and March 28th, 2024, and posted on the Builders Exchange of Washington website. The bids are in the form of unit prices by location of the vendor's plant. All bidders submitted reasonable unit rates to be considered in the evaluation for individual purchase orders. Public Works is requesting to award master contracts to all 3 vendors: Granite Construction Company of Everett, Washington, Lakeside Industries Incorporated of Olympia, Washington, and Miles Resources LLC of Puyallup, Washington. The master contracts will be for $0, but incorporate each vendor's pricing schedule as the basis for evaluating costs and placing individual orders against the master contracts on an as-needed basis. Purchase orders will be issued to the vendor with the available supply and at the lowest price after evaluating the cost for materials and travel from the work area to the pickup point. Funds will be obligated at the time of the purchase order is issued and paid from the road fund budget. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Nope. Is there a motion?
I move to award 3 master contracts to Granite Construction Company of Everett, Washington, Lakeside Industries, Inc. of Olympia, Washington, and Miles Resources, LLC of Puyallup, Washington, for furnishing a supply of various kinds of asphalt materials to the Public Works Department for annual road maintenance activities, and to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contracts.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to award 3 master contracts regarding various asphalt materials for Public Works. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, 7B, resolution and call for sealed bids for WashDOT US 101 Schneider Creek Project CP 34W08. Tim Wilson, Water Resources Manager, to brief the board.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This item is a resolution calling for sealed bids and authorizing the county engineer to set the bid date and time for receipt and opening of said bids for the Washington State Department of Transportation US 101 Schneider Creek Stormwater Retrofit Project. This project is included in the 2024 Public Works budget and the 2024 through 2029 Stormwater Capital Improvement Program. The Stormwater Retrofit project is designed to improve water quality and treat approximately 4 acres of high-traffic roadway. The treated stormwater will be conveyed to an outlet structure with energy dissipation to reduce the bank erosion that is occurring. The outlet structure discharges to Schneider Creek and Eld Inlet. Similar to how Thurston County charges stormwater fees to our own roadways, WashDOT is charged stormwater fees of roughly $270,000 annually. Per statute, WashDOT fees are then used to mitigate the impacts of state right-of-way to water quality to meet the objectives of the local stormwater utility. This is the second of 3 stormwater retrofit projects either completed or listed on the Stormwater Capital Program. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Yes, Commissioner Edwards.
You know, I'd just like to point out on all of these items that we've had here today, the reason there isn't any questions is a general rule, because staff has laid this out for us on several different discussion periods, so thank you.
No further questions. I'll ask for a motion.
I move to approve a resolution calling for sealed bids and authorize the county engineer to set the bid date and time for receipt and opening of said bids for the Washington State Department of Transportation US 101 Schneider Creek Project CP number 34W08.
Motion and a second to approve the resolution calling for sealed bids. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Okay, next up is standing items, Commissioner reports. Start with Commissioner Klaus.
Okay, I have quite a few things that I've done over the last week, starting with, yesterday I attended the state opioid settlement funds dashboard engagement session, and that was really informative. We talked about reporting on data. There were some concerns mentioned of data accuracy, so I followed up with county staff regarding that and got a little bit more information. On Sunday, I attended the Dispute Resolution Center's Peacemaker Celebration, and that was a really good event. Commissioner Minzer was also there with me. We saw the 2024 Evan Ferber Peacemaker Award being granted to Corey from Interfaith. That was really honestly inspiring celebration, and I spoke with Corey after, and he followed up with me via email. So I'm looking forward to talking with him more about the work he does to help heal our community. We also heard from the executive director, Jody, and that was really informative too, as she talked about transitioning away from her role as executive director later this summer, and gave a pretty moving speech on what transformation means to her. I also met with Joint Animal Services Director Sarah Hawk, along with Assistant County Manager Campbell and County Manager Hernandez, talking about the future support of the county regarding, like, there's quite a bit going on with animal services, and we talked about a lot of that this morning in our agenda setting meeting, so I won't go into too much detail, but we talked about service levels and what that might look like in the future for the county. I also met with Emergency Services Director Ben Miller-Todd. We went over quite a few things, but one thing I found to be pretty interesting was the red flag updates. So we talked about, like, what it means if we experience temperatures of 92 degrees or higher for 3 days, and that would trigger what's called red flag. And I thought that was pretty interesting because it impacts our most vulnerable residents to have additional protections in place when we reach high temperatures for extended periods of time. I also talked with a few constituents regarding family courts and the forensic mental health system. Earlier today, I met with Karen Frazier, which was we had a really nice conversation and talked about some upcoming events in the county, particularly 40-year anniversary event for the women's marathon trial, which I think will be talked about here in a little bit. That was really a good conversation, and I'm looking forward to that celebration, which is happening the 17th and 18th. And I can distribute information on that if needed, but I think that we have some information that might be distributed already. I had a Regional Housing Council executive meeting to set the agenda for our regular RHC meeting tomorrow. Let's see what else. Coming up later in June, this is kind of a ways out, but there's a community land trust event coming up that I'll be a panelist on, so trying to make sure that I can make time in my schedule for that event. And yesterday, I attended the Community Planning and Economic Development Management Team check-in, which was kind of unintentional, but I will say serendipitous in a way, because I was doing a walkthrough at the CPED office down here in the atrium, and it just so happened they were doing their management team check-in meeting, so they invited me to that, and that was really informative as well to hear about what's going on with them. I met with DV, our Racial Equity Program Manager, to talk about the Racial Equity Plan. That was also a good meeting. And the last thing on here is this Saturday, I will be a panelist at Olympia Indivisible's Gen Z Power Up event to talk about get out the vote efforts for young people in our community. And that's happening at Traditions Cafe between 12 and 1:15. And there are a number of events I'll be attending this weekend as well, but I did not write them down. So I know a lot of us have like 4 or 5 events to attend on Saturday, so it'll be pretty busy. And that's all I have.
Real quick on the red flag issue, I think we're covering that tomorrow morning with Ben Miller-Todd. So if folks are interested in what Commissioner Klaus was mentioning, there'll be more to hear about that tomorrow, is my understanding. Commissioner Edwards?
Committee meetings were Solid Waste Advisory Committee and the TCOM Administration Board meeting. Constituent interaction mostly was about budgets, the land use, compliance issues, building and zoning issues, and lakes management. Those would be the highlights of concerns in the community. Thank you.
Commissioner Fournier.
Don't forget, we are currently accepting applications for our Thurston County Art Contest, the theme being what makes Thurston County feel like home. If your artwork is selected, it will be displayed here at the atrium throughout the county, and you will be celebrated greatly for your contribution. I attended a thing with our PIO team at I don't know what we're calling the property, but the Prairie property that we purchased in Violet Prairie as a mitigation property. And the PIO team was highlighting the fact that it is both a working prairie or a working farm and a mitigation site, as we're allowing cattle to graze on it. And the goal is to tell the story about how the cattle actually help with the mitigation goals. So, you know, you got grass growing, that grass mat compacts down and it prevents native plants from being able to seed and grow. And when you allow, I think they're called ungulates, when you allow cows and things like that to be able to graze on the property, they'll break up that grass mat. And if you rotate them around properly, you'll get an opportunity to allow for the native species to kind of get a better foothold on the prairie. It's exciting. It's something that a lot of us have been kind of dreaming about for the last decade, as you know, as the mitigation goals have been looming and everybody's been in fear of the pocket gopher. The fact that we can kind of coexist and you can still use the prairie for, you know, the benefit of everyone to farm on it gives me hope, and I think it's an exciting it's kind of an exciting new chapter for the county and for us to preserve farmland and keep things rolling. I am not in the video, but Kevin Jensen, our recent hire, who owns a ranch in Tenino area, was the county representative. He's got feet in both worlds, so he's a great representative for that. They interviewed him, and then they interviewed Fred and Jennifer Colvin, which is also really cool because you know, Fred represents, I think, 5 generations of farmers in that area, and then Jennifer's taking the handoff from her dad, and so they kind of told that story, and she's now raising her family on the farm, and they're great examples and role models, so I look forward to the video.
I attended the WASAC general meeting yesterday. I also attended last week the TRPC council meeting, attended the South Sound Military Elected Officials Council, and that one was thoroughly interested. They did have a request for childcare to be added to the comprehensive plan. So Jenica was also there, so we have conversations set up with Josh on kind of that request and what that looks like. Had a meeting with Intercity Transit, and we had a lot of good presentations in regards to kind of where we're at in terms of marketing and service and kind of what's to come. And that is all in just preparation for our planning session that's scheduled for May 10th. Had just different meetings with staff and constituents relating to just very different issues from the ORV. We had an internal conversation with Commissioner Fournier. I've had conversations in regards to ag, and we heard a little bit about this morning, as well as kind of our federal requests that are submitted. I also got contacted. I want to thank the board for approving the proclamation for the 40th anniversary of the 1984 Women's Olympic Marathon Trials. They're being held at Olympia, and it's the week of May 13th through 19th for anyone interested. There are multiple events planned that week, and we will be receiving, as commissioners, we'll be receiving an invitation for the reception that is planned for May 17th. So be sure and check your inboxes for that. So I know Lacey and Tumwater will be approving their proclamation this evening. So just very thankful for the board and being able to squeeze that one in today. I was also a judge this weekend at Pause for a Cause, and I got to see the cutest puppies ever. And there was many Star Wars themed dressed puppies, so I was a fan of the Darth Vader puppy. And I guess last but not least, I on a little bit more of a personal note, I want to congratulate all of the graduates. There was a St. Martin's graduation this weekend, and my sister graduated, and so I was very proud. And for any graduates, if you would like to apply to county government, we will be lucky to have you. So there are plenty of job openings.
All right, thank you. Just double back to my list. I had lots of one-on-ones with department directors last week. I attended the DRC event with Commissioner Klaus, and she covered that perfectly. That was a great event. 2 canvassing board meetings at the end of the week to certify the April special election regarding the Yelm school bonds. And had a meeting with the state auditor's office regarding the coming year's audit, not the one that we're finishing up from last year. WASAC Virtual Assembly, we had a presentation on the state's homeless response plan, 5-year plan. And I just want to highlight, as Commissioner Klaus said, there's a whole bunch of community events this weekend. But the one that the county is actually actively involved in sponsoring is called Prairie Appreciation Day. It's one of my very favorites. It's the Glacier Heritage property that only gets open once a year, and it's on Prairie Appreciation Day. And it's supposed to be 82 degrees, spectacular weather. So you have a whole bunch of trails and educational, a lot of hands-on stuff for kids to do, and then stuff for adults to learn. There's folks that'll help you find rare prairie flowers, like I found the chocolate, what is that called? The chocolate orchid, I think it's called. And somebody helped me find, they're really cool, and you have to know what you're looking for and kind of where to find them. But there's just, it's usually a perfect time of year to get out and check out Thurston County's prairies, which is kind of one of the things that makes our county special. So that's going on from 10 to 2 on Saturday out at the Glacier Heritage property. So with that, I'll turn to Acting County Manager Campbell to review the board's combined schedule.
Thank you, Commissioner. Starting tomorrow at 9 a.m., the board has a work session where we will have an update of the Emergency Management Council bylaws and a briefing on the Public Safety Power Shutoff Program, which is a partnership with Puget Sound Energy, and a presentation on the Ready, Set, Go initiative from Emergency Management. That starts at 9. At 11:30, there may be 3 or more commissioners at the Thurston County Chamber's annual meeting, which I believe is the 150th year celebration of the Thurston County Chamber. And your afternoon board work session tomorrow has been canceled. There is no other shared meeting on your agenda for the rest of this week. Looking at next week, on Monday, May 13th, at 9 a.m., you have an exit conference with the Office of the State Auditor. At 10 o'clock, you have your usual board work session, and that will be, I'm sorry, I should have had this up and ready. The Monday morning work session is on the 2023 Capital Asset Inventory Report, and Auditor's Office update, and the state of the solid waste system. Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock is the board's weekly check-in meeting. On Tuesday the 14th at 9 a.m. is your agenda setting meeting. And at 11, you meet with your appointed department directors. In the afternoon on Tuesday, is an opportunity for meetings with elected officials. This week will include district court. And then you have a Board of Health meeting in the afternoon on Tuesday the 14th that begins at 3:45?
Yes.
Yep, 3:45. On Wednesday the 15th, At 9 a.m., your board work session includes the American Rescue Plan and the State of County Parks. In the afternoon, you have a briefing on the courthouse project.
That's the only thing currently.
It's the only thing on the agenda on, yes, because the transportation funding is no longer on for that afternoon. So 2 o'clock on the 15th is the courthouse complex renovation update. Again, no shared meetings on the 16th and 17th. And the following week's agenda, I do not have, but we're back in the boardroom on May 21st.
Okay. Any questions for the county managers? Okay, having come to the end of this afternoon's agenda, we're adjourned.